Okay, so I'm back. Yeah, computer froze, and there's probably a good reason for that. So I just put in a new board. I just redialed in the overclock, and I did 3200 megahertz. I never got 3200 megahertz to work on my previous board. I did Intel burn test. It passed, but it only uses like 2 gigs of RAM or whatever. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm back. But I'll wait till kind of everybody else gets back in here. I'm gonna go ahead and start this Intel burn test, and maybe then potentially fire up some what I was working on earlier. I'll run this as well, and I'll run this as well. I really need to update my software a little bit. There's that. I can be down there. It's not all that important. Let's wait for Steam to open. Let's close you out because I don't need you running. You're good. I don't need you running. Okay. Come on. Yeah, stupid me. Steam is on my network drive. Not the best decision, unfortunately, but it was a decision that I did make, and definitely not one of my better ones. Oh God, Explorer just crashed. You're killing me, people. Well, more so, I'm killing myself. How does Explorer crash? You're killing me, guys. Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and restart Explorer. I don't really have any fathom on how the heck Explorer crashed. So at least I'm still streaming, that's a plus. So Explorer's crashed, but Steam is working. I want to watch this. What the heck, Explorer crashed. Right here, this here. I can hear myself. Okay, so, yeah, I guess having this on my network drive, probably not a fantastic idea. Is what it is. Okay, so let's run Intel burn test on this system, and we will see how well she is. Yeah, the stream died because my computer crashed, and it went. And I'm hoping I don't have to log out and log back in, but I'll answer your question just in case the stream dies again. My point was that I don't have full evidence on how good the fans are. However, here's the general consensus. A static pressure fan will work fine as an airflow fan. An airflow fan will not work fine as a static pressure fan. So, I'm going to give you an example. Let me get OBS going here. Probably should really consider restarting Explorer if I can actually remember how to do that. Okay, so this is the fan that came with the 120mm cooler. And what you can notice is the fan plates are a lot like this. They're not like this. This, if it's more flat, it's going to generate more pressure against the radiator. And what that'll do is that'll force the air through better. So when they're more open, the air will basically hit the radiator and bounce out. If it's flatter, it'll keep more pressure, force the air through. So that's why static pressure fans are better for radiators, infinitely better for radiators. And I still don't have Windows Explorer. These fans look to be somewhere in the middle. Not entirely sure where at in the middle, but somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to Google something. How to restart Windows Explorer. Because I actually do not know how to. Okay. So I've got to task manager. Okay, so file tab, new task to run, type in explore dot, I cannot spell today, explore dot exe. There we go, got her back. I knew it was relatively simple. So I don't have to reboot it. So putting the cooler fans on the front of the case and putting... Okay, so you're going with the Fantex P350X, which is a pretty solid case, actually. So let's actually look that up. So you want to do, so you want to put the cooler, you want to put the cooler fans on the front of the case and putting 2 intake fans on the top. Okay, yeah, no, you don't want to do that. So let's actually look at how this is designed. So this supports, okay, let's go to Newegg's website. It's generally better. Hold, please. Wow, that was actually a really low temperature, which is quite good. 22.3, okay. So let's look at the specs. This will do 2 120s or 2 140s. It comes with one. Top will be 2 120, 2 140. Rear will be 1 120. So the question is what kind of liquid cooler do you have? And what kind of graphics card, what kind of CPU you have. So I'm going to assume that you have an open air graphics card, somewhere like a 970 or a 1060 or an RX 57580, somewhere in that ball game, I presume. What I would do is, well, you have 2 options. One, you can do 2 fans in the front with the liquid cooler and use them as intake. Now, this doesn't do a great job at intake, but it's not as bad as like some of Cooler Master. So when you look, let me see if I can get a, no, the angle view I don't want here. So you'll put basically what I would honestly do, and it's up to you depending on how you want it to look. You can put the fans first and then the cooler. I would actually cooler first, then fans. Okay. Now, here's the one thing you want to consider. Preferably, static pressure is better. Or, not static pressure. Positive air pressure is better. So what that means is you have more air coming in than less air going out. So what that does is that forces air out through the nooks and crannies. Okay. The reason why it's good is because if you do it the other way around and you're bringing air that's not coming through filtered intakes, you get a lot of dust in the case. Now, when you have a front air or liquid cooler, what you do run into is there is going to be less pressure coming into the case to the front. So I would do probably one of 2 things. First, I would either do a front mount with 2 in the front and just 1 in the rear. To be 100% honest, that's what's in this setup. And during ADATA 64, the GPU hits 74 degrees. So actually, oh shoot, I don't think that's saved. Let me see here. Oh, well, Excel just crashed. Lovely. Man, it is not my day today. I was hoping that it recovered, but I realized I did not save that. So let's try this again. Show recovered files. Except that's not where it actually is at. Okay, so with that particular setup, if I remember correctly, it was 74 degrees at the package. So that was the hottest it got. And the GPU hit 74 as well. Now, we're running an open cold RX 580 that arguably doesn't have the best cooling. We're running a single 120mm AIO. And we're actually having the radiator in the back. So, to be 100% honest, 3 fans is fine. 5 would not be, in my opinion, necessary. I have 5, but I have 3 intake, 2 exhaust. So, I have a PC 011 case. So, let me bring up my OBS so I can actually see what I'm showing you guys here. So, this is my case. So, how this is configured is it has these 3 set as intake, and that's actually on a 360 rad and then 2 exhaust. And the reason why is because I have a RX Vega 64 triple fan cooled, and it's so heavy that it has its own bracket. So, but honestly, I don't have any problems. It stays relatively cool, no issues. Your other option would be to do two 140s in the front, put the radiator in the top with the 120s and exhaust 120. Two 140s will not output three 120s. However, yeah, that didn't save. However, with the restriction on the liquid cooler, it should either be relatively balanced or slightly more positive. So that would be a suggestion that I would have. Let me go ahead and save this here. Let me. No, I don't want to put it there. Your Microsoft Excel, you are getting on my last nerve. Okay, we're just going to open it up and play. Yes, we're going to end this process. Microsoft's not responding. Lovely. I really should probably just read. Oh god, File Explorer's not responding either. Jesus. Excuse my language. I really should do a full reboot of my system. Really should. Considering... Oh, I just killed Explorer again. Yeah. There we go. Yes. Let's reboot. Oh, okay. Explorer came back. Now, let's open up back Excel and start this. So, we don't want the recovered file. No, cancel. Okay. Let's just browse manually. Call it a day. Dev videos, performance tests. I'll just go with that one. Why is it logged for editing? How is... Performance tests. RF 120s. I'm just going to call this spreadsheet. Okay, now it shouldn't be read-only. Thank you, Lord. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I would do it. That's what makes the most sense. That is how I would proceed. And so far, like I said, for my testing, it's honestly has been fine, no issues. So I'm going to order these in the order that I think they'll do. So when I do charts, you have to go reverse order. Deep pull RF 120. I don't think they're going to beat the PC cooler fans. I know they're Chinese fans, but I use them personally. They're fantastic. But yeah. Equals this plus this. Sure. Here's what I want you to do. You probably can't link anything, so just put the last part of PC Part Picker, and I'll go ahead and pull it up here in a minute. 74, 22.1, 67, 22.1, 74, 22.1. Okay, perfect. So now we have 58, and this was 22.3 whenever I looked at it. Go ahead and copy, paste, paste. Okay. So this was 58. Current temperature was 22.3. Adjusted. There we go. Wait. And then the last one, I think we're going to do a couple Cinebench runs here. I want to record temperature. Is this what I'm doing here? Yeah, it looks like I'm recording temperature, so. So let's go ahead and do this here. I would actually, if you haven't, I have reservations about the 9600K personally. I have reservations with a lot of Intel chips that aren't on the higher end. I don't think they offer a lot of value to actually start spending some money. That is my opinion. I know my opinion is not going to be the same as everybody else's, but I just don't think they bring a lot of value personally. Okay. Go CPU test, go. So here's my take on 9600K. Here's the problem. I build a lot of computers. I build anywhere as little as 2 to 3, upwards of 8 or 10 a month. And I sell them. I make some money, $50, $100, sometimes $150, sometimes more, sometimes less. And my target audience recently has been people that want to stream, people that want to play 144 hertz, 1080p. You know, they like the RGB, they like the percent. So I've been building a lot of computers with that in mind. So the problem is that the 9600K can be bought essentially for the same price as a Ryzen 7 2700. Now, 1080p, 165 hertz, some of the more demanding CPU-bound games like WoW, StarCraft, whatever, the i5 9600K is a clear win. The problem is that when you're looking at heavy multitasking, rendering, making videos, streaming, the 2700, if you can get around 4.41 gigahertz, which isn't outlandish. I'm running a 4.2, and I mean my temps are, I mean I'm streaming right now, but what are my temps? I'm running 39 degrees right now. I'll bring up a game here in a minute. So, what the hell did I do? Oh, I did the wrong thing. Yeah, I clicked the wrong thing over here. So I have trouble recommending Intel at the lower level. The i3 I don't think is a good deal because yes, it does outrun like the 2200G, but the i3 is $30 more. And it outruns it by like 5% due to clock speed. The Ryzen 5, the 2600 I just bought, was $150. 2600X, which would compete pretty well with the 9600K unless you go for some really higher end liquid cooling. $200. You know, it's just until you get to the 9700, 9900X or K rather, I don't see the value. It is my opinion, obviously. I don't personally see it. But I definitely do not have a problem with checking your build. That's all about it. Well, and that's kind of so this is the reality of it. Where is it better and how? So there's very few games that you're going to see the gap. And let's see, 57 to 22.4. Here, let me continue the game here, get my focus right, is if you're playing 144 hertz, 1080p, there will be games that you'll see that gap, where you'll get the better performance. It's not a lot, but there are some games. You're generally going to run into the GPU bottleneck before you run into the CPU bottleneck in most scenarios. so the gap won't be there in many cases. Now, that being said, if you're looking for 1080p, 144 Hz, you're going to pair it to RTX 2060, you don't plan on streaming, you don't plan on doing videos, you're not a heavy multitasker. It's not a great value, but it's not a bad buy at the same time. So that's kind of where that falls. Again, you know, I don't want full screen mode. Okay, why? I want to be able to get over there. Whichever, I guess. I'm just not. I just don't see the value. You know, it's a good chip. I just think it's priced too much. They are coming down. I think they're around like 250 maybe, and that makes them a bit better than they're at 280. So I do have to input this data here, 57 and 22.4. It's actually 22.5 now, but it's 22.4 prior. Okay, let's go ahead and clear this data. Run it one more time. Actually, I put the scores in here. I might actually use that later. Okay, what I was looking at, 9600K, it's 260. It's just, it's tough. If you do overclock it, and this is the other problem that you run into, is that chip is going to pull a lot of power. So your standard like 240 AIOs, you're not going to get 5 gigahertz. I have a 9900K under a Cryorig R1, which can do up to 250 watts, and it did not do too well. It was thermal throttling at 5 gigahertz, and at 4.7 it was just okay. 56 and 22.5. Okay. Get this in here. Yeah, I wouldn't consider an 8600K at this point. I don't think it's a good buy. God, these are horrible. You know what? I'd have to go all the way Oh. But, let me see what board you were looking at here. Bear with me here. Trying to see if you can send me the whole build. I'll also look at, like, are you spending money in the right place and all that fun jazz. You can't actually post links. You can only post the latter half of the links. So if you could just do the pcpartvega.com/ blah blah blah. I just need the blah 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 part. Just that last part should be fine. Let me go ahead and pause this here. Why is the stream health so poor? YouTube's not receiving enough video output for... How? Hold on a second. Should... audio bit rate's fine. My upload speed is plenty fast enough to support this. I mean, I'm saturating right now. 35 is as high as it can go. Let me stop and restart real quick. Hold on. Okay, so that didn't work. So here, I'm going to show you what I need. I need this right here. And then just send me that part, this last part. And then I'll plug it into here. Okay, let's go ahead and open the truck game. And F1, go pause it for a second. Okay, so that didn't work. So here, I'm going to show you what I need. I need this right here. That'll do it. I just don't know how much output I need. I don't know if it's the sound. I don't know if mine can go up that high, so we'll find out. Oh, I'm horrible. I just ran into crap. I mean, I'm only outputting 720p, so it shouldn't be too much. I'm not saturating my CPU, that I do know, but I'll still do very fast and see if that makes a difference or not. One thing I can do. Oh, or that. Completely kill the game, which was not my intention at all. I don't know if mine can go up that high, so we'll find out. I mean, I'm only outputting. I'm not sure. I'll try it. I'll see if this works. Oh, okay, yeah, that works. Okay, so let's talk. In fact, I'm actually going to bring this on here. So, a couple things to know. This cooler's not very good. I've used it. It's okay, but it's not really. If you're going to want to actually overclock this, you're going to want to get like somewhere either a little bit of a higher end air cooler or a better 240. Why is there? Oh, that's just lagging behind a bit. Okay, fair enough. So that's definitely the first thing. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I buy these all the time, but I mean, I know Cooler Master's tube is fine too if you were to stick with that. Board's probably fine. I don't really have any issues with that. SSD, a little pricey. M.2 is no faster than SATA. So, you know, are you spending extra money here? I don't know. What I would actually, so if this were me, I'm going to go make changes here. First things first is get rid of this, and I'm going to tell you which one to buy. And I'll explain more in a second. Crucial. SSD. If you're going to spend this much, spend $10 more. This is an NVMe SSD. It's a little bit slower though, so the 1 terabyte's faster. I actually personally use this myself. So I think the speeds are like 15, it says 2000, but that's for the 1 terabyte. So, but it is a bit faster. It's not quite like Samsung A40 Pro, but that's what I would do. RAM's fine. Just note that you have Newegg Business. It's going to be $10 more because you don't have a business account. Graphics card's fine, but I'll be honest, I would replace it, and I'll tell you why. So, EVGA. The reason being is EVGA, I've dealt with them on many occasions, and they are just a dream to deal with. They're 24/7. They're American supports. You know, if you have any issues, you can call them 24/7. They'll help you out a lot of things. So yeah, I would change that. I would also change this. So when you're about one step down, this is a fine power supply, but we're in a range where we're talking some overclocking and everything. So I'm gonna say we need to step this up a little bit. So we need to go 80 plus gold, semi and fully modular preferably. There was actually a 650 80 plus platinum on sale from EVGA today for $70. I don't know if it's still there or not. So we had originally spent 60, so we're going to try to not completely kill that, and it looks like unfortunately we don't have much of a choice here. So let's do this. Let's go analyze tech tips here real quick. Power supply. List. Relatively updated. What do we have on the tier 2? Actually, where's the CXM fall at? You know what? It's a tier 3. It's fine. We can keep it. So let's go 80 plus bronze. For some reason, I thought it was tier 4. I mean, I've used the CXM multiple times. It's perfectly fine power supply. All right, so we'll put that back on there. Case is fine. No issues with that. That's fine. There are ways to save money, but I don't advocate those. So let's take a look at this board, and I'll tell you why it's important here for a second. So this has something. So this does have, so it's really hard to see. Like, this is addressable because it's missing a pin right there. So it's 5 volt and 12 volt. So, but it's called J Rainbow. So the question is it does look like your standard addressable RGB header. However, it's not labeled as that. So let's see here. And the only reason why I'm going over this is because I've done this before. So ARGB, no. So this is kind of, it says rainbow LED strip. So I'm not sure if it, see, when you look at this down here, it's missing a pin. And that would assume that it is, I need a better, here we go. Yeah, so this is 12 volt 4 pin, and that, hold on a second, where's my phone at? Is my phone dead? Oh, it's actually somewhere charging. Let me look at mine real quick. I have 2 somewhere. I have one down there, and where is the other one? That's regular RGB. You know what, I only have 1. Here, let's pull up my board. So, ASRock X470, this one. So this is what I just bought. Really wish I would have bought it from Amazon or from Newegg, but I was too lazy. So that is missing, yeah, so that is missing it at the exact same spot. So that should be, I think that says 5 volt. So you could go addressable or non-addressable, and this is kind of where I'm going. MSI at least, so here's the thing, on the AMD side, MSI makes really fantastic boards. I can't really say with certainty that on the Intel side they're just as good on the VRM, but I suspect they're not crap, so it's fine. And looks to be the same price. So this is where I'm going to make some changes. Is I'm going to get rid of these, and I'll tell you why here, because there are better fans. I go to Amazon. This is, yes, I know. I don't actually have a business, unfortunately. I wish I did. Okay. So, yes, I buy a lot of stuff. These are addressable. I use these. They're good for static pressure. They do move a fair bit of air. They're not very loud. And they do work with addressable RGB as well. So it is something to consider, because you don't have to use this. You can actually use the header on the board. So, and it's only because these are very robust. They're very heavy. They're very good fans. I like them a lot. Personally, I do. Oh wait, I need to go back to what I was doing here. So, if you just want my opinion, I like these a lot. I actually have a review on them if you're interested. I don't know why these show up as this price. They're not. As you can see, they're, or are they? Yeah, they're $35.99, and you can save 5% with that coupon. So, but yeah, so I would definitely recommend them. I mean, I have a review on them that has like over 3,000 views, and it's really good. So, let me see what you said so far. So I'm going to address the power supply. I talked about this in my live stream last night. The reality of it is that I've built 720 computers in 8 years, about 100 a year. And I have a relatively low failure rate because I'm not stupid. I made mistakes in the past, obviously, but what I mean by failure rate is failure within like the first like 2 or 3 years. Definitely, I've had failures of my original computers that I've sold in like 2011, 2012. In fact, I just rebuilt a computer I sold in 2014. It's 5 years old. And it was a used computer when I sold it, so do keep that in mind. The power supply thing is interesting because I use, in a $2,000 computer, full setup's like $2,300. I use a $75 to $80 power supply. It's an EVGA G3 650 watt power supply. It's fine. I wouldn't use that in any computer that probably costs under $1,000. Actually, don't know what does this cost. This costs more than $1,000. I would go to say, if you had room in your budget to get a tier 2 power supply, something 80 plus gold, 550, 650 watt, may not be a bad idea to spend an extra 25 bucks. You'll get better efficiency, longer warranty, especially if you go with EVGA, and it is a better unit, right? But it's not really required. People tend to recommend these power supplies no matter if your computer's going to cost $300 or $3,000, and that's where I have a problem. Of course, stay away from this stuff, right? Stay away from stay away from anything that's not even 80 plus certified. So 80 plus certified is not the end all be all, but if it's not even 80 plus certified, move on. But anything like, I would say tier 5 is fine for your real budget computers. Tier 4 is good for like 600 or less. Tier 3 is good, probably 1,000, 1,200, I would say is fine. When you're above $1,200, which you are, you really need to make sure that you're allocating your budget accordingly, right? And it may not be a bad idea if you have room in the budget to grab something out of here, either from, I would recommend an EVGA like a G3 or G2, G1 Plus, not a G1, G1 Plus. 550 or 650 would be fine. But your CX 550M is a fine pick. I just think when you're spending this much money, I would tend to allocate a little more there. Cooler. So let's talk about this. It's just not really that good, unfortunately. It's not. So let's go with something a little bit different here. Let's go by price. I love to recommend these, but they leak. Unfortunately, they leak. And it really sucks because I think they actually do pretty well after it's all said and done. This is going to perform a fair bit better. So, a couple things you can do. It's up to you. Is if you go with this, you can use the stock fans. You can still get the deep cool fans. I think you should get pressurized fans, and if you want cheaper RGB pressurized fans, these are the way to go. Now they're not as bright. Like I mean, I showed you my computer, not as bright, but they do really well. They may not be as good as like an LL 120 or an HD 120, but they do the job. So I mean, you could keep these fans. They work really well. They're static. They're SP 120s. If you do want to go with the RGB theme, let me see what else we got here. Like I said, I really wish I could recommend these, but they leak. Unfortunately, they do, and it stinks because they look really cool too. But when you read the reviews, they unfortunately do leak. Let me see what the difference is. Like this would be really nice. I suspect these reviews here. Let me see. A few kinks. Okay, none of them actually said anything about leaking, but and then you could, if these are using, yeah, they're using those fans, the RF 120s. Then, I mean, like I said, they're fine, but you could then get 3 more of those, mount this at the top, do 2 intakes, and call it a day. So, yeah, I can, because I can post. I'm really iffy about recommending it. Like I said, they do leak, and that's not good. And I don't, it's just hard for me to do it. What is the Pro? That's actually not a bad deal. It's just a little bit expensive, but they are using ML ones. So here, let's just go crazy for a minute. So you could do a couple different things. You could do, let me get the Corsair ML RGB fans here. Corsair. I need RGB, not just. Oops. Yeah, so you can see, like, this is an expensive fan. It's a good fan. It's just really expensive. So here's a thought. If you don't want to kill your budget, put this in the front, put the fans on the rear so you can see it, you know, glowing on the inside, and then put this in the rear. That's what I would do, essentially. Now the problem is we've increased this quite a bit. So you are not paying anywhere near this. Well, let me see. How much did we increase it by? Let me see what your original pricing was here. Copy. Let's go. PCPartPicker.com. There we go. So you're originally $13.20. So what did we change? Let's find out. So processor saying the Kohler. Oh, I have 2 Kohlers here. Whoops. Let's actually grab the one we need. 120 or 240 rather, and then we'll go Corsair. Oh, okay, so we didn't change anything by much. So basically all we did was one with a slightly better SSD, a graphics card from EVGA because that's my preference. I'm not saying don't get Gigabyte. I've had a lot of issues with Gigabyte recently personally. Their tech support department is really trash, and I'm not a fan, but again, that's just personal experience. We have a much better CPU cooler, and we just have a better arrangement overall. And again, I would say do the cooler in the front, 2 intakes, and then do 1 for the exhaust. Honestly, it's fine. If you are running into temperature issues, what you can also do. Now, honestly, you won't, and I'll tell you why. So, when you have a front intake, the CPU is going to run cooler than exhaust because you're running an open air cooled graphics card. So, putting that cooler in the top, you're going to actually lose some degrees or gain some degrees. So, putting it in the front would be better. I would, again, put the fans behind it. That'll also allow you to clean it better. So you can take off the front, clean off the radiator a little bit if some things get through the filters on the side, and it's a lot easier to work with, right? So, but it'd be easier to clean. And then one in the rear. But that's honestly like, I think I don't see an issue, because here's the thing: when you're overclocking at 9600K, if your sustained load temperatures are below 80 degrees, and I don't mean synthetic loads like what I'm working on over here, I mean loads you're doing, that CPU is going to outlast the rest of the computer. You will replace everything in that computer 1 or 2 times before you even consider replacing a graphics card or power supply or anything. My preference changes, or is different from other people. Okay, so if you talk to anybody, oh, here, let me link this for you so you have it. Some people say, oh, I can't get my CPU above 60 degrees. Like, that's bad for it. Let me give you the straight truth. There we go. There's that. Nobody's actually watching. That's kind of disappointing. Oh well. For anybody that's watching later, that's fine. So here's the reality. With the exception of a couple processors, such as oops, let me mute this here because I can hear myself. With the exception of a couple processors, the FX series, and like the Phenom series, they were measured differently, temperature. But generally speaking, most processors were good up to about 100 to anywhere from 95 to 105 degrees Celsius. There's a reason for that. They could actually run that temperature for several years, probably 5 to 6 years, and then they'll probably die off instead of running 10 to 15 years. If your sustained loads, your everyday workloads, so that's exporting data from Premiere, playing video games, whatever, is below 80 degrees on your overclock, you're fine. Ideally, you want to get under 90 degrees for your synthetic testing and your verification, so like ADATA64, Intel burn test, whatever. Graphics cards have a little bit more leniency. Sustained loads, probably under 90 is fine. I would say, me personally, under 85. But graphics cards don't have the lifespan as processor does. Here's the reason why. A 2600K overclocked still can game. Not nearly as good as what's out there now, but it'll game fine. A graphics card from the same era, which we're probably looking at like, HD 6000, GTX 500, 600 series, can't game at this point. They can't. Even the best of the best, you're looking at low-medium settings on these newer games. But you get a modern graphics card of overclocked 2600K, you'll lose some frame rates, but you'll game fine. So graphics cards can sustain higher loads for sustained loads. So that one's that. But I went ahead and gave you a link. I'm gonna go ahead and finish working on this. So I'm gonna jet for the evening. Excuse me. I'll do my usual intro. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you dislike, or leave a comment, get subscribed, and as always, this is Steve from PC Budget Solutions. I'll see you later on down the road.